One of my favorite quotes from the book You're a Badass at Making Money by Jen Sincero is this: "Not a day goes by where we don't use money, or use something that was paid for with money, or have an experience that is somehow connected with money. Not one single day." And yet, we rarely, if ever, stop to think about how we actually feel about money, how we speak about it, or even what the hell money actually is. It really nails down the importance of why we need to be reading things like this in the first place, and why I chose to read it myself. If you're interested in hearing what I learned from the book, or if you're interested in starting your own journey of mastering the mindset of wealth, keep on watching, because I'm about to give you all the details. Hello everyone, my name is Brittany and I'm a millennial financial coach who makes videos all about taking the fear out of finance. And today we're going to be talking about just that. No, this book doesn't really talk about fear, but it does talk about mindset and basically facing your inner self when it comes to your money, which, if you ask me, can be pretty darn terrifying. The book is called You're a Badass at Making Money, and it's Jen Sincero's second book. And yes, I did research how to pronounce her name so I didn't look like a fool in this video. I knew that I was going to enjoy this book when I got to the second page. She equates money to sex, and she says, "When it comes to having sex and making money, you're supposed to know what you're doing and be all great at it, but nobody teaches you anything about it, and you're never supposed to talk about it because it's inappropriate, dirty, and not so classy." How freaking true is this? It's exactly how I feel about money and why I decided to become a financial coach. Money is seen as taboo. It affects every aspect of our lives, yet no one teaches us what to do with it, how to act around it, or how to understand it. We're just supposed to know. And even then, even if we figure out the technical details of it, how are we supposed to figure out the emotional details? If people talk about money at all, it's all of those technical skills. How to make money, how to save money, how to invest money maybe, but it's in all of those technical ways. Ask your boss for a raise, put this specific amount into this specific account for this specific amount of time. Even I have a lot of videos on these topics, and they're important to learn, but it's also important to understand the other half of it, the half that nobody talks about, the emotional and mindset effects that money has on us. And that is where this book comes in. It's about mindset and emotion, and it doesn't shy away from giving you the hard truths. In fact, another one of my favorite quotes from the book is when she's addressing the topic of what she calls busting yourself. She says, "We choose to stay in our stories because we get what I call false benefits from them. We get to keep our identities as a broke person. We get to blame our brokenness on things outside of ourselves. I don't have time. I have 7 kids. The economy sucks. I can't find a pen to write down my to-do list with." We don't have to push ourselves outside our comfort zones and risk failing, looking like an idiot, losing money, changing and becoming different from our family and friends. And the list goes on and on. And of course, she goes on to give us the tough love. She tells us why it's important to call ourselves out and understand all of the false excuses that we have in our brains. But she doesn't leave us hanging either. I really enjoyed the formatting that she chose to use for this. She sets out all of her chapters in a similar way. The first part of the chapter is a story. Usually it's a personal one, but sometimes it's one that she heard from someone else, like what Jim Carrey said on Oprah. She relates these stories to the money mindset, trick or belief or skill that she wants you to learn. It ranges from how to understand where your money mindset currently is, to how to change it, to how to push it to the limit and overcome the challenges that it's presenting. She does a really good job of wrapping everything together. My favorite part of the book, however, is that she actually provides activities at the end of each chapter. Yes, worksheets, like elementary school, except way cooler because we're adults now. She puts these activities under the title To Get Rich, and I found it really relatable to actually have something tangible to complete. For example, at the end of chapter 5, when she talks about connecting your desire for money with passion, she wants us to understand our why. Why do we desire this money? What will we spend it on? How will it feel to have us actually make that money? In this To Get Rich section, she tells us to write a fantasy day in the life, to get really specific about what we want and how it will feel when it happens. We're encouraged to make a mantra around that specific fantasy and break down the exact amount that we need to make it happen. Personally, I found these To Get Rich sections super helpful because sometimes I find it pretty difficult to believe the woo-woo. I have no doubt that mindset is important, but I've just been so mentally trained in the opposite direction that unless there's something tangible that I can grab onto, sometimes it's just too hard for me to grasp the nice and fluffy, if you just start thinking and believing, your life will change kind of stuff. Don't get me wrong, this book has plenty of that idealist woo-woo as well, but the get-rich action points really make a difference in terms of the actual applications learned in this book. I won't lie to you, I have not completed all the activities in this book, and if I'm honest, I don't think that I will. But I have saved a lot of my favorites, and I will be completing them. I'm definitely not done with this book yet. Another thing that I wanted to mention about this book was all the times that I was kind of hit with a ton of bricks. And by which I mean I read a line and I thought, whoa. There were a few times that this happened. The quotes that I mentioned at the beginning of this video are kind of good examples, but there was one that really hit me hard in the gut. She says, "When it comes to money, who and what you surround yourself with has a huge effect on how you perceive it and feel about it. Your environment helps define what you consider to be expensive or cheap, a wise or a stupid purchase, and how much you're going to allow yourself to make. In fact, here's a sobering exercise. Take the average income of the 5 people that you hang around with most, and you'll most likely find yours." C'est quoi? That is 100% my life. Seriously. You know when you read or see something that you've been thinking for a while, but you never really knew how to actually put it into words? That's exactly how I felt when I read this quote. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you might know that this is something that I struggle with. I always thought that it would be cool to make a lot of money, but I didn't really think that it was something that I could actually do. Why? Because everyone around me was making less. But my partner, Alex, has dreams of making big money. When I met him, I was thinking, you know, great for him. I hope that he actually does that. But I was never thinking, wow, that's such an inspiration. I wish I could do that. I never even thought about myself until he asked me. He seemed just baffled that I wasn't thinking bigger. My answer, legitimately word for word, was my parents didn't make that much and we were fine, so it'll be okay. He was like, girl, what? You're not your parents. You live in Toronto now, and it's 2015, so it's 2015. Cost of living is way higher than what your parents were making. And at first, I really fought against that. I was thinking, no, I have a Bachelor of Social Work. Social workers make like $60,000 a year in a really good job. And besides, I'm not skilled enough to kind of make that kind of money. No one will hire me because I don't have the right kind of education. And of course I'm smart and a good worker, but I can't show that on a resume. I had all kind of reasons why I thought that I shouldn't be making more money. But the hard truth was that I was using my environment as an excuse. I was looking around at all of my friends and my parents and saying, you know, if that's a good salary that works for them, it will work for me. And I was just using that as an excuse to stay in my comfort zone. If I don't admit that I want more for myself, I can't fail at it. I can't be rejected from a raise by an employer. I can't be upset if I send out 1 million resumes to high-paying employers that don't call me back. And that's why this quote got me. I've actually come a long way since 2015. I've been with Alex for 4 years now, and I do actually have dreams of making big money. But I was never actually able to understand why I was feeling the way that I did. This book validated for me that it was a feeling that other people had. And not only that, it explained why people felt this way and how to get over it. It was a huge boost for me, and I was really struck by that realization and appreciated the book for including it. In conclusion, I think that this book does a really great job of explaining the mindset of wealth, understanding why sometimes we feel like we're completely failing at making money and how to overcome those challenges. I'll be honest with you, it's a mindset book, so it's a little woo-woo. But it's backed up with some great tangible activities that can really set you out on the right path to have you actually applying the things that you've learned. It's already changed the way that I think and feel about money, and I would say that it's worth the read.